Dr. Elena Vasquez had seen many doctors come and go during her 15 years at City General Hospital, but nothing could have prepared her for the day doctor. Cale Meridian walked through those automatic doors. It was a Tuesday morning in March when the new doctor arrived. Elena was finishing her coffee in the break room when she first saw him. He was tall, maybe 6 feet, with skin so pale it almost seemed to glow under the hospital's harsh lighting. His hair was an unusual shade of silver white, though he couldn't have been older than 35, but it was his eyes that caught her attention. They were the strangest blue she had ever seen, sometimes appearing almost silver when the light hit them just right. "You must be Dr. Vasquez," he said, extending his hand. His voice had a gentle quality to it, with just a hint of an accent she couldn't place. "I'm Cale Meridian. I'll be joining the internal medicine department." When their hands touched, Elena felt something odd. A warmth, almost like a gentle electric current, passed between them. She pulled her hand back quickly, wondering if she had imagined it. "Welcome to City General," she managed to say. "How are you finding everything so far?" "Different from where I trained," he replied with a small smile. "But I think I'll adapt well." Elena wanted to ask where exactly he had trained, but Dr. Rodriguez, the department head, appeared and whisked Cale away for orientation. She watched, then walked down the hallway, noticing how other staff members seemed to pause and stare as the new doctor passed by. There was something about him that drew attention, though she couldn't quite put her finger on what it was. Over the next few days, Elena began noticing things about Dr. Meridian that didn't add up. Patients who had been restless and in pain would become calm and peaceful after spending just a few minutes with him. Mrs. Patterson, an elderly woman who had been suffering from chronic arthritis for years, walked out of his office moving more freely than she had in months. "That new doctor has magic hands," Mrs. Patterson told Elena at the nurse's station. "I don't know what he did, but I feel 20 years younger." Elena dismissed it as the placebo effect at first. A good bedside manner could work wonders on patient morale. But as the weeks went by, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Dr. Meridian's patients weren't just feeling better emotionally. Their test results were showing actual, measurable improvements that shouldn't have been possible. Tommy Rodriguez, a 12-year-old boy with severe asthma, had been in and out of the hospital for months. His breathing had gotten so bad that his parents were discussing more aggressive treatments. But after 3 sessions with Dr. Meridian, Tommy's lung function test came back normal. Completely normal. Elena had to check the results 3 times to make sure there hadn't been a mistake. "I don't understand it," Tommy's mother said, tears in her eyes. Dr. Meridian just talked to him, showed him some breathing exercises. Tommy said the doctor's hands felt warm and tingly, and then suddenly he could breathe again. Elena decided to observe Dr. Meridian more closely. She started finding excuses to walk by his office, to check on his patients, to review his cases. What she saw challenged everything she thought she knew about medicine. The breakthrough came on a Thursday evening. Elena was working late, catching up on paperwork, when she heard soft voices coming from examination room 3. The lights were dimmed, and she could see Dr. Meridian through the partially open door. He was treating Maya Chen, a 7-year-old girl who had been battling a rare blood disorder that wasn't responding to any conventional treatments. Elena crept closer, careful not to make any noise. What she saw made her breath catch in her throat. Dr. Meridian was standing beside Maya's bed, his hands positioned about 6 inches above her small body. He wasn't touching her, but his hands seemed to be moving in slow, deliberate patterns. He was speaking in a language Elena had never heard before. The words were soft and musical, almost like a lullaby. But that wasn't the strangest part. As Elena watched, she could swear she saw a faint glow emanating from his hands. It was so subtle she thought she might be imagining it, but the longer she looked, the more certain she became. There was definitely light coming from his palms, a gentle silver-white radiance that seemed to pulse in rhythm with Maya's breathing. The heart monitor beside the bed, which had been showing irregular, erratic patterns for weeks, suddenly settled into a steady, normal rhythm. Maya's face, which had been pale and drawn with sickness, began to take on a healthier color. Dr. Meridian continued for several more minutes, his strange words flowing like water, his hands weaving patterns in the air above the sleeping child. Finally, he stepped back and lowered his hands. The glow faded immediately. Elena quickly stepped away from the door, her heart pounding. She pretended to be studying a chart when Dr. Meridian emerged from the room a few minutes later. "Dr. Vasquez," he said, not seeming surprised to see her. "Working late again?" "Just catching up on some cases," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "How's Maya doing?" "Much better," he said simply. "I think you'll find her test results quite encouraging tomorrow." He was right. Maya's blood work the next morning showed improvements that the pediatric specialist called miraculous. Her white cell count had normalized, her hemoglobin levels had improved dramatically, and for the first time in months, there were no signs of the aggressive immune system dysfunction that had been destroying her body. Elena couldn't stop thinking about what she had seen. She told herself there had to be a logical explanation. Maybe it was some new form of energy therapy she hadn't heard of. Maybe the glow had been a trick of the light. Maybe Dr. Meridian was just an exceptionally gifted physician who had found innovative ways to activate the body's natural healing responses. But deep down, she knew she had witnessed something that shouldn't have been possible. Something that challenged everything she understood about medicine, about science, about what was real, and what WASN single quotes T. Dr. Meridian continued his work at the hospital, and his reputation grew. Patients began requesting him specifically. Word spread through the community about the new doctor who could work miracles. Hospital administrators were thrilled with the positive publicity and the improved patient satisfaction scores. But Elena couldn't shake the feeling that there was much more to Dr. Cale Meridian than met the eye. She found herself studying his every move, looking for clues about who he really was and where his extraordinary abilities came from. Little did she know that her curiosity was about to lead her down a path that would change not just her understanding of medicine, but her entire view of the world and humanity's place in it. The truth about Dr. Meridian was far more incredible than she could have ever imagined. Elena's obsession with Dr. Meridian grew stronger each day. She started keeping a secret notebook, writing down every strange case, every impossible recovery, every detail that didn't make sense. The notebook filled up quickly. There was old Mr. Thompson, whose broken hip had healed in half the expected time, Lisa Park, whose diabetes symptoms vanished after just 2 visits, baby Collins, born with a heart defect, whose next scan showed a perfectly healthy heart. The list went on, and Elena began staying late at the hospital, hoping to catch Dr. Meridian in action again. She would walk the halls, pretending to check on patients, but really looking for him. Most nights, she found nothing unusual. But on a rainy Wednesday evening in April, her patience finally paid off. She was heading to her car when she noticed lights still on in the old storage room in the basement. Nobody used that room anymore. It was filled with outdated equipment and broken furniture. Curious. Elena made her way down the stairs, her footsteps echoing in the empty hallway. The door was slightly open, and she could hear movement inside. Elena peered through the crack and gasped at what she saw. Dr. Meridian was standing in the center of the room, but he wasn't alone. Well, not exactly. There was no one else there, but he was clearly practicing something. His hands moved through the air in complex patterns, and that same silver glow she had seen before was emanating from his palms. Much brighter this time, he seemed to be pulling something invisible from the air, stretching it, shaping it. The glow pulsed and shifted, sometimes forming what looked like geometric patterns, other times flowing like liquid light. Elena watched, mesmerized, as he worked with this mysterious energy. "Fascinating, isn't it?" a voice said softly behind her. Elena spun around, her heart nearly jumping out of her chest. Dr. Meridian was standing right behind her, but that was impossible. She had just been watching him inside the room. She looked back through the crack in the door. The room was empty now, dark and silent. "How did you?" she stammered. "I've been wondering when you would finally ask," he said gently. "You're very observant." "Dr. Vasquez." more so than most of your kind. My kind. Elena's voice was barely a whisper. Dr. Meridian looked at her for a long moment, as if weighing his options. Finally, he pushed the door open wider and gestured for her to come inside. Elena hesitated, then followed him into the storage room. Please, sit, he said, indicating an old chair. This conversation is long overdue. Elena sat down, her mind racing. What are you? She asked directly. That's a complicated question, Dr. Meridian replied. But I suppose the simple answer is that I'm not from here. Not from Earth, I mean. Elena felt like the room was spinning. You're saying you're an alien? I prefer to think of myself as a healer who happens to come from somewhere else, he said with a small smile. My people have been coming to Earth for decades, not to invade or conquer, but to learn and to help. He held up his hand, and Elena watched in amazement as that silver light began to glow from his palm again. We have abilities that your species hasn't developed yet. The ability to manipulate what you might call life energy to encourage cellular repair, to rebalance the body's natural systems. That's impossible, Elena whispered, even as she watched the proof floating in front of her. Is it? You've seen the results. Mrs. Patterson's arthritis, Tommy's asthma, Maya's blood disorder. These weren't coincidences or lucky breaks. I helped their bodies remember how to heal themselves. Elena thought about all the cases she had documented. How many of you are there? More than you might think, fewer than you might fear, Dr. Meridian replied. We're scattered across your world, working in hospitals, research centers, anywhere. We can help advance medical knowledge without causing panic. Why are you telling me this? Dr. Meridian dimmed the light in his palm and looked at her seriously. Because you figured it out on your own. Because I believe you can be trusted. And because we need allies among your people. Allies for what? To bridge the gap between what we know and what your species is ready to accept. Medical knowledge that could save millions of lives, but only if it's introduced carefully, gradually, so it doesn't shatter people's understanding of reality. Elena's scientific mind was reeling. The healing I saw you do with Maya. How does it work? Every living being has an energy field, what your ancient cultures called an aura or life force. Disease often begins as disruptions in this field before manifesting physically. I can sense these disruptions and help correct them, allowing the body's natural healing mechanisms to function properly. Can you teach me? Dr. Meridian studied her face. Some of it, perhaps. Your species has the potential, but it's largely dormant. It would take time and practice. I want to learn, Elena said immediately. I want to help. It's dangerous, he warned. Not the techniques themselves, but the secrecy required. There are people in your government, in your military, who would not react well to discovering our presence. They would see us as a threat rather than healers. Then we'll be careful, Elena said. But I can't unknow what I know now, and I can't stand by while people suffer when there might be better ways to help them. Dr. Meridian smiled, the first truly warm expression she had seen from him. I hoped you would say that. Very well, Dr. Vasquez, your real education begins. Now, over the following weeks, Elena's world expanded in ways she never could have imagined. Dr. Meridian taught her to see the human body not just as a collection of organs and systems, but as a complex energy matrix. He showed her how to sense the subtle disruptions that preceded illness, how to encourage the body's natural healing responses. Her first success was small but significant. A patient with chronic headaches found relief after Elena learned to help realign the energy flow around the head and neck. It wasn't the dramatic healing she had witnessed Dr. Meridian perform, but it was real, measurable improvement that couldn't be explained by conventional medicine. But as Elena dove deeper into this hidden world of healing, she began to understand the complexities and dangers that came with such knowledge. Not everyone would welcome these revelations, and Dr. Meridian's people had good reasons for maintaining their secrecy. The question was, how long could they keep hiding in plain sight? Dr. Meridian's revelation about his true nature was only the beginning. As Elena learned more about his people and their mission on Earth, she discovered that the scope of their involvement in human affairs was far greater than she had imagined. We've been here for over 50 years, Dr. Meridian explained during one of their late-night training sessions in the storage room. My people arrived not long after your species developed nuclear weapons. We became concerned about your potential for self-destructs. Elena was practicing the energy-sensing techniques he had taught her, trying to detect the subtle fields around a potted plant they used for exercises. So you came to stop us? No, he said, gently adjusting her hand position. We came to study you, to understand you, and eventually, to help you grow in ways that might prevent you from destroying yourselves. How many of your people are on Earth? Several hundred, scattered across all continents. We work in hospitals, research facilities, universities. Some work directly with patients like I do. Others focus on advancing your scientific understanding through carefully placed discoveries and breakthroughs. Elena paused in her practice. You mean some of our medical advances actually came from you? Not entirely. Your species is remarkably innovative and resilient. But yes, we have helped guide certain developments. The discovery of antibiotics was accelerated by one of our researchers. Several cancer treatments were refined with our input. The development of MRI technology received some subtle assistance. The implications were staggering, Elena thought, about all the medical miracles of the past decades, wondering which ones had hidden origins. Why not just reveal yourselves and help openly? Dr. Meridian's expression grew serious. Because history has shown us how your species reacts to the unknown. Fear, panic, violence. Even beneficial contact with outsiders has often led to conflict and suffering. We decided that gradual integration was safer for everyone. But surely, some humans know about you officially, a very select few. Scientists, government officials, military leaders who have been carefully chosen and gradually introduced to our presence. They help coordinate our efforts and ensure we don't accidentally disrupt your society's development. Elena felt a chill. Are they watching us now? Do they know about our conversations? Our activities are monitored? Yes, but as long as we don't pose a threat to the secrecy protocols, we're given considerable freedom to operate. Over the following months, Elena learned more about the hidden infrastructure that supported Dr. Meridian's mission. There was a network of safe houses and communication systems, advanced medical equipment that was decades ahead of anything publicly available. Most remarkably, there was an underground facility in the desert where humans and Dr. Meridian's people worked together on medical research. I could arrange for you to visit, Dr. Meridian offered one evening, but it would mean becoming fully committed to our cause. There would be no going back to your old life. Elena was tempted, but something held her back. What about my work? Here? My patients? You would be doing far more good at the research facility. The techniques you could learn, the knowledge you could gain. It would help thousands of people instead of dozens. But those dozens are real people with names and faces and families. I can't just abandon them. Dr. Meridian smiled. That's exactly the kind of thinking we hope to find in potential human partners. Compassion at the individual level, not just abstract concern for humanity as a whole. Their partnership deepened as Elena became more skilled in the energy healing techniques. She couldn't perform the dramatic healings that Dr. Meridian could, but she developed a talent for pain relief and accelerating recovery times. Patients began commenting on how much better they felt after spending time with her. However, their activities were beginning to attract attention from unexpected quarters. Hospital administrators were puzzled by the unusually high success rates in their department. Insurance companies were asking questions about the reduced treatment times and lower readmission rates. Medical journals wanted to publish studies on their techniques, but neither Elena nor Dr. Meridian could explain their methods in conventional scientific terms. The situation became more complicated when Dr. Peterson, the hospital's chief of staff, called Elena into his office. He was a good man, dedicated to patient care, but also concerned about the hospital's reputation and legal liability. Elena, I need to ask you directly, Dr. Peterson said, closing the door behind her. What exactly is Dr. Meridian doing with his patients? The results are impressive, but I can't find any documentation of the specific treatments he's providing. Elena felt trapped. She couldn't reveal the truth. But she also couldn't lie to her longtime colleague and friend. He uses some unconventional approaches to pain management and patient comfort. Nothing harmful. Just techniques he learned during his training abroad. Where exactly did he train? His credentials are in order, but when I tried to verify his background, I keep running into dead ends. Before Elena could answer, there was a knock on the door. Dr. Meridian entered, as if he had sensed the conversation taking place. Dr. Peterson, I understand you have questions about my methods, he said calmly. Perhaps we could discuss them. What happened next would change everything. Dr. Peterson was about to become the next person to learn the truth about the mysterious healer working in their hospital. But Elena couldn't have predicted how drastically this revelation would alter the careful balance they had maintained. The secret was growing too big to contain, and forces beyond their control were beginning to take notice. Dr. Peterson sat in stunned silence as Dr. Meridian demonstrated his abilities. Right there in the office, a small cactus plant on the windowsill, which had been dying for weeks, suddenly burst with new growth under the gentle glow from Meridian's hands. The transformation took less than 30 seconds. This is impossible, Peterson whispered, staring at the now healthy plant. This goes against everything we know about biology, physics, medicine. It goes against everything you currently know, Dr. Meridian corrected gently. But knowledge evolves. What seems impossible today becomes routine tomorrow. Elena watched Dr. Peterson struggle with what he had witnessed. She remembered her own shock and disbelief. When she first learned the truth, it was like trying to fit an ocean into a teacup. The human mind simply wasn't designed to process such radical shifts in understanding. Are you some kind of, I don't even know what to call it, advanced human, mutant, alien? Peterson asked, his voice shaking slightly. The last one, Dr. Meridian replied simply. And before you ask, no, we're not here to harm anyone. We're healers, Dr. Peterson. It's what we do, what we've always done across many worlds. Over the next hour, Dr. Meridian explained everything he had shared with Elena months earlier. Dr. Peterson listened with the focused attention of a man whose entire worldview was being reconstructed piece by piece. How many others know? Peterson finally asked. Here at the hospital, just the three of us now. Globally, several hundred humans work with us in various capacities. Government officials, scientists, researchers, people who help coordinate our efforts and maintain security. Elena leaned forward. There are people who wouldn't react well to learning about this. People who would see Dr. Meridian and his kind as threats rather than allies. Dr. Peterson rubbed his temples. I need time to process this. It's overwhelming. Of course, Dr. Meridian said. Take all the time you need. But I should warn you. Our situation here may become more complicated soon. What do you mean? We've been getting reports that some government agencies have been tracking unusual medical phenomena. Hospitals with abnormally high recovery rates. Patients with unexplained improvements. Our activities, while carefully managed, have still created patterns that sophisticated data analysis might detect. As if summoned by his words, Elena's pager buzzed. Then Dr. Peterson's phone rang. The emergency was happening in real time. Dr. Peterson, we have a situation. Came the urgent voice of Nancy, the head nurse. There's a federal agent here asking questions about our patient recovery statistics. She wants to review specific cases, particularly those handled by Dr. Meridian. Elena felt her stomach drop. This was exactly what they had feared. Tell her we'll be right there, Dr. Peterson said, hanging up. He looked at Dr. Meridian with new understanding. I guess I'm about to learn how deep this rabbit hole goes. They found Agent Rodriguez waiting in the administrative conference room. She was a woman in her 40s, professionally dressed, with the kind of sharp, observant eyes that missed nothing. She had files spread across the table and was typing notes on a tablet. Dr. Peterson. Thank you for meeting with me, she said, standing to shake his hand. I'm Agent Rodriguez with the Department of Health and Human Services, Special Investigations Division. I'm here about some unusual patterns we've detected in your hospital's performance metrics. Elena had never heard of a Special Investigations Division within Health and Human Services, and she suspected it didn't officially exist on any public organizational chart. What kind of patterns? Dr. Peterson asked, doing his best to appear calm. Agent Rodriguez pulled up a chart on her tablet. Your hospital has shown a 340% improvement in recovery times for chronic conditions. Over the past 8 months, patient satisfaction scores have increased dramatically. Most notably, several patients have shown recovery from conditions that are typically considered untreatable. She looked directly at Dr. Meridian. These improvements seem to correlate strongly with cases handled by Dr. Meridian here. That's quite an impressive track record for someone with such unique credentials. Dr. Meridian remained perfectly calm. I've developed some innovative approaches to patient care during my training. Sometimes fresh perspectives can yield unexpected results. Yes, about that training, Agent Rodriguez said, consulting her notes. We've been having difficulty verifying some aspects of your background, Dr. Meridian. The medical school you claim to have attended has no record of you. The hospital where you did your residency has no documentation of your work there. Elena's heart was racing, but Dr. Meridian seemed completely unfazed. Medical education systems vary significantly in different countries. Record-keeping standards aren't always compatible with American databases. Which country exactly? Rodriguez pressed. I've studied in several places. My approach to medicine draws from various traditions and methodologies. Agent Rodriguez wasn't satisfied with these vague answers, and Elena could see she was prepared to dig deeper. Dr. Meridian, I'm going to need you to come with me for a more detailed interview. We have some specialists who would like to discuss your techniques. I'm afraid that won't be possible, Dr. Meridian said politely. I have patients to attend to. It wasn't a request. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. Elena realized they had reached a critical moment. Dr. Meridian's secret was about to be exposed, whether he was ready or not. But then something unexpected happened. Dr. Peterson stepped forward. Agent Rodriguez, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, he said firmly. Dr. Meridian is a valued member of our medical staff, and unless you have a warrant or formal charges, I won't allow you to disrupt his work with our patients. Rodriguez looked surprised. Dr. Peterson, I don't think you understand the seriousness of this situation. We have reason to believe there may be unauthorized medical experiments taking place at your facility. Then bring me a warrant, Peterson replied. Until then, Dr. Meridian stays here, doing what he does best, helping sick people get better. Agent Rodriguez gathered her files with obvious frustration. This isn't over. We'll be back with proper authorization. After she left, the three of them stood in silence for a moment. Well, Dr. Peterson said finally, I guess I've officially chosen a side. Dr. Meridian placed a hand on his shoulder. Thank you. But you should know that by protecting me, you've put yourself at considerable risk. Maybe, Peterson replied. But I've been a doctor for 30 years. I know what real healing looks like when I see it. Whatever you are, wherever you come from, you're saving lives. That's all that matters to me. Elena felt a surge of gratitude toward her colleague. But she also knew that Agent Rodriguez would be back. And next time she would be prepared for resistance. What do we do now? She asked. Dr. Meridian was quiet for a long moment. Now we have to make a choice that will change everything. My people have protocols for situations like this. We can relocate me, provide new identity documentation, start over somewhere else. But Elena sensed there was more. But there's another option, one that's never been tried before. He looked at both of them seriously. We could try something unprecedented instead of hiding. We could begin the process of gradual revelation. Start with a small group of trusted individuals and slowly expand from there. Is that even possible? Peterson asked. I don't know, but I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of helping people in secret while knowing that we could be doing so much more. If we could work openly, Elena understood what he was saying. You want to come out of the shadows. Not all at once. That would be chaos. But we could start here, with this hospital, with people like you two who have proven they can handle the truth responsibly. It was a monumental decision. They were talking about potentially changing the course of human history, the revelation that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that other intelligent beings had been living among them as healers and helpers, would transform everything. The risks are enormous, Dr. Meridian continued, for my people and for yours. But so are the potential benefits. Imagine what we could accomplish if we could share our knowledge openly. Diseases that have plagued humanity for millennia could be conquered. Suffering that seems inevitable could be eliminated. Elena thought about all the patients she had treated over the years, all the people she had watched suffer and die from conditions that Dr. Meridian could cure with a touch. The choice seemed obvious. What would we need to do? The decision to attempt controlled revelation rather than concealment changed everything. Dr. Meridian contacted his superiors through channels Elena didn't fully understand. Some form of communication technology that appeared to work through quantum frequencies rather than conventional signals. The response came back within hours. Conditional approval for a limited trial of gradual disclosure. Starting with City General Hospital as a test case, they're sending someone, Dr. Meridian announced during an emergency meeting in Dr. Peterson's office that evening, a specialist in human-alien relations. She'll help us navigate the process safely. Elena asked. Dr. Zara Oren. She's been working with human governments for over 20 years, helping to manage the gradual integration process. If anyone can make this work, it's her. Dr. Oren arrived 2 days later, and Elena was struck by how normal she appeared, unlike Dr. Meridian, whose otherworldly features were subtle but noticeable. Dr. Oren could have been any middle-aged professional woman. She had warm brown eyes, graying hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, and the confident bearing of someone accustomed to handling difficult situations. The first thing you need to understand, she told them during their initial meeting, is that this has never been attempted at the institutional level. We've had individual revelations, carefully managed over long periods, but revealing an entire operational presence, this is uncharted territory. She spread out what looked like a detailed timeline on Dr. Peterson's desk. If we're going to do this, we need to be methodical. Start with key personnel, people whose discretion is absolutely certain. Gradually expand the circle of knowledge while carefully monitoring reactions and containment. What about Agent Rodriguez? Elena asked. She's not going to just disappear. Actually, she might, Dr. Oren said with a slight smile. Agent Rodriguez works for a division that officially reports to Health and Human Services, but actually takes direction from a much more classified authority. They've been aware of our presence for years. They know about you, Dr. Peterson. LOOKED shocked. At the highest levels, yes, the challenge isn't hiding from your government. It's managing the pace of broader revelation so it doesn't cause social chaos. Over the following weeks, Dr. Oren guided them through a carefully orchestrated process of selective disclosure. They started with the department's senior nurses, people who had worked closely with Dr. Meridian and had probably already suspected something unusual. Nancy, the head nurse, took the revelation remarkably well. Honestly, I thought he might be some kind of psychic healer or something, she said after watching Dr. Meridian demonstrate his abilities. Alien makes more sense than most of the theories I had come up with. Tom Bradley, the senior technician, was more skeptical until Dr. Meridian helped heal a chronic back injury that had plagued him for years. If this is what alien invasion looks like, he said, stretching pain-free for the first time in months, then I'm all for it. Each new person brought into the circle of knowledge was carefully selected and gradually prepared. Dr. Oren had protocols for everything, psychological assessments to determine readiness, legal documents ensuring confidentiality, and ongoing support to help people process the implications. But the real test came when they decided to tell their first patient. Sophie Morrison was 10 years old and dying. She had been transferred to City General after every other hospital in the region had exhausted their treatment options. Her condition was a rare neurological disorder that was systematically shutting down her nervous system. The doctors gave her days, maybe a week at most. Her father, Senator David Morrison, was a powerful figure in state politics, but all his Influence couldn't buy his daughter a miracle. He sat by her bedside, holding her small hand, watching her slip away despite everything medical science could offer. Elena found him there at 3 in the morning, staring out the window with red, exhausted eyes. "Senator Morrison," she said gently, "there might be another option. I've heard that before." He replied without looking at her, "Every doctor, every specialist. They all say there might be something, but there never is. This is different. But I need you to promise me something first. What I'm about to tell you must remain completely confidential, no matter what you decide." Something in her tone made him turn around. "What are you talking about?" Elena took a deep breath. The decision to reveal the truth to Senator Morrison wasn't just about saving Sophie. It was about taking the first step toward changing the world. "We have a doctor here who can help your daughter, but his methods, they're not conventional. They're not even from this world." For the next hour, Elena explained everything. She showed him video recordings of other healings, introduced him to Dr. Meridian and Dr. Oren, and watched as the senator's understanding of reality shifted completely. "You're telling me that my daughter can be cured by an alien doctor who's been hiding in plain sight at a public hospital?" "Yes," Elena said simply. Senator Morrison looked at his dying daughter, then back at the team of extraordinary healers who had just offered him hope. "What do I need to do?" Dr. Meridian's treatment of Sophie took place over 6 hours. Elena, Dr. Oren, Dr. Peterson, and Senator Morrison all watched as the alien healer worked with energies and techniques that defied every law of physics they thought they knew. The process was beautiful and terrifying. Dr. Meridian's hands glowed with that familiar silver light, but brighter and more complex than Elena had ever seen. He seemed to be rewriting Sophie's neural pathways, convincing her body to remember how to function properly. When it was over, Sophie opened her eyes and asked for ice cream. Her complete recovery was medically impossible, but it was also undeniable. Within 24 hours, every test showed normal function. Her nervous system had been completely restored. Senator Morrison held his healthy daughter and wept. Then he looked up at Dr. Meridian with an expression of profound gratitude. "What happens now?" he asked. Dr. Oren stepped forward. "Now we begin the most important conversation in human history. How do we tell the world that they're not alone, and that their new neighbors have been helping them heal all along?" The secret was out, but the real work was just beginning. The revelation that would reshape humanity's understanding of their place in the universe had started with one desperate father's love for his daughter, and Eleanor realized that she had become part of something far greater than she had ever imagined. The bridge between two worlds, helping to guide humanity into its next chapter.